All right, hello and welcome back to Borderline FPL, the podcast that constantly crosses the line between FPL advice and Premier League banter. My name is Chris.
And my name is Ben, and we've been away for a while, Chris. We've been on a
We
bit of a
have
hiatus. We have. So has club football, and
yep
just like club football, we took last week
international
off.
break, brother.
Decided to do the podcast on the second half, closer to the next week of
Yeah.
games instead of on
Well,
the first half.
I think that's a good thing to do, just because we learn so much over international games, and also we it's
Yeah,
good just in
injuries,
case
all
like
that stuff
injuries
is just too
happen.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we've seen, you can ask Lukaku owners. So yeah, we'll see. But a lot happened in international break. We will discuss all of that. We will wrap up the results from 2 weeks ago in the Premier League.
Yep.
Talk about our teams, what we're thinking, what we're not thinking, why we're bad at this game, and pretty much everything else. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so for sure. I tweeted it out. The main topics we're going to kind of touch on this week are Tottenham Hotspurs, go or no go in terms of fantasy. And then we'll talk about all three of the solidified appointments. A lot has been going on over international break in terms of that for Norwich, Newcastle, and Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will also talk about just kind of like what we learned over international break, what players were starting to find form, if there were any injuries, or if there were any people coming back off of injury. So all that kind of stuff we will cover. That being said, Ben, let's go ahead and I will share the table as always. Here
Wow.
we are.
What a matchup between fourth and fifth next week.
Dude.
What a matchup between fourth and fifth next week.
I'm wearing it this time. Let's go, baby.
I know, dude.
You always have it.
I'm always wearing. I always wear because I always believe. That's the difference. I always believe.
Hey, don't act like I don't always believe.
All right. Well, we're beating Liverpool this weekend, so.
Dude, true. All seriousness though, right?
Mm-hmm.
This game, 2 weeks ago we were here talking about how Leicester away is a big game in terms of how Arteta is turning around this club. If this club is starting to actually turn around and show some form, and we won that game, and we came out of that with three points, and we're very happy. This is next level, right? So that's
what I'm thinking.
This is next level. If we can, because we usually go to Anfield the last like 3 years and just get battered. So
yeah, we get waxed.
If we can even come out of this with a draw, that's big.
It would be big, and specifically with the injuries that Liverpool are facing right now, and this is good for FPL advice as well.
Yeah.
For those of you that may own him, Sadio Mane is a major doubt for the Arsenal game.
Is it a major doubt now? I saw it was slight doubt at first.
I've heard that he and Jordan Henderson might not be playing at all.
Okay. Yeah, I saw might, but I thought Sadio Mane's was a bit less intense than Jordan Henderson. Firmino is still out, though.
Yeah, Firmino as well. All three are doubts right now for the Arsenal game, and that could just be them paper talk, try to make Arsenal relax a little bit, tell them they're out, and then get to the starting 11 come Saturday, and there's Mane, right? Yeah. But I don't know. It is a big game, so they're going to want their best players, but obviously you don't want to rush someone like Sadio Mane back. You'd rather have him for 5 weeks than you would for this one. So that's an interesting one to keep an eye on, but it might not be the best squad Liverpool can roll out. That being said, they do have backups that are fully capable of doing a job for them.
Right.
But that's a massive game. Other than that, the table's still kind of shaking out.
Yeah,
Spurs,
well, I mean, dude, we gotta let's talk about kind of let's roll our minds back about a week and a half ago at this point to these games, and there were some shockers on this game week for sure. What caught your eye? What are the big takeaways from game week? What was it? 11? Game week 11.
Yeah, it was 11. For me, the biggest one is Chelsea drawing Burnley. You're the number one team in the table. You have a big chance to extend that gap, and you just don't take it.
Yeah.
Specifically with City playing a rival and United typically have their number. I know they didn't, but it could have been a huge chance for you to go even further ahead of them. But now it's back to one game. I know you're up on goal differential, but you're letting Man City just kind of stay in the hunt right there, which is a very risky thing to do with the Pep Guardiola side. And also take nothing away from Burnley. Like, they were terrific. Burnley, again, Sean Dyche, he's been in this league for a long time. He has a pub named after him in Burnley. He knows what he's doing, and credit them. You take a point off of Chelsea, that's something that you will take every day of the week if you're Burnley.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think That's just stuff that we see happen in the Premier League all the time. If you're a good team and you're up 1-0 and you don't put away your chances to go up 2 or go up 3, any team at any given time can tie it up.
It takes one set, especially with Burnley, a team that specializes in set pieces. It takes, and I think actually, funny enough, Arteta talked about that after Arsenal beat Watford 1-0. Yeah. And he was like, at any point 1-0, it doesn't matter if you have the ball 90% of the time, 95% of the time, one chance and it's over. So it did happen to Chelsea, bit unlucky for them, but shout out Burnley for that. That was awesome, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And honestly, if you watch that game, Burnley could have won it at the end.
They could have won. They had their chances. So it is what it is. Other than that,
I thought the biggest game, obviously, it was West Ham beating Liverpool. So
yeah, that's another massive one.
Absolutely massive game for them. And that just highlights further what we've known this whole season, that West Ham are a serious side. Like they're actually very, very talented team overall, and they showed that against Liverpool. I mean, they took their chances. They were not on the back foot against Liverpool. They knew they had to come into that game and attack back on Liverpool. They could not just concede possession the whole game, and they did that. I mean, looking through, and obviously we'll go through game by game, but it was just an impressive display, and David Moyes just continues to impress me. I think he's been the best manager in the Premier League over the last year and a half, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to say that he probably has. I mean, I think Man United could do with a manager like him, but
we're going to make that joke every week?
Every time until Ole leaves, bro. Every time until that brother leaves. I've seen Man United fans are just over it at this point. I think they've given up hope, and the reports are that Ole is staying through the end of the year right now. So
yeah. Well, I mean, they missed out on Conte, right? And I don't see any other.
It's a tactical masterclass by Ole, as I said, to get Nuno fired and have them hire Conte before his club can hire Conte.
Yeah. Well, also you have to think. I think the word is that the next appointment they want is Ten Hag from Ajax, and he's not going to leave in the middle of the season.
Why would you leave? So, you're undefeated in the Champions League. You're probably going to win the Eredivisie unless someone else goes crazy. Yeah, you're not walking away from an undefeated Champions League campaign.
Yeah, not in the middle of the season, definitely. Like I could see it maybe happening this summer finally,
maybe. But right now, what he's done at Ajax, you don't walk away from that. They could be once again the dark horses in the Champions League, in my opinion. They just beat Dortmund in back-to-back games, home and away.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm very impressed with what he's doing.
Cool, awesome. Looking down the table a bit. We got Norwich City got their first win, and then also finally fired Daniel Falca.
And I mean it was a predetermined fire.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, well, so it was interesting, right? Because I didn't watch that game live, but I watched the replay, knowing what happened, right? And when they score both their goals, Farka has like no emotion on his face at all. He already knew. 100% he already knew that was his last game.
He knows that he's just there as a placeholder because they couldn't they wanted to hire their new man over a national break, and they probably told him that, and they're like, yeah, we need you as the placeholder to stay here. Yeah. It isn't something we haven't seen before. We saw last year, I believe it was I forget his name. He used to Village was managing West Brom, and West Brom drew Man City, and he got fired after that. Which, if you're anyone drawing Man City, is a good result, specifically a West Brom.
Right.
And he was fired, so completely predetermined, but gaining ground, tied with Newcastle, who are about to inject some serious cash in January.
Who also have appointed their new manager, Eddie Howe.
Yeah. Eddie Howe back in the Prem.
I know we talked on last week's pod that he was the biggest name being mentioned, so he did end up getting the appointment. He gets to reunite with two of his older players, being Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, who were a very successful duo back when he coached them for Bournemouth. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a resurgence of a Ryan Fraser, even though he's been not really in that team at all.
Just bench.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a good appointment for Newcastle. I think it's iffy in terms of getting through this season specifically, because obviously we know that Eddie Howe got Bournemouth relegated. So I mean, he's definitely not a master in avoiding relegation. I do think he'll improve them offensively. I'm just not so sure that he can improve them defensively, and obviously that's their biggest.
That's where the money comes in January, though. That's where I think they're going to just start dropping bag after bag on player. So We'll
Yeah.
see. Burnley trying to get out. Watford, bad form recently. A tough loss to Arsenal. Honestly, I
Well,
thought they
brother,
played well.
you want to talk about bad form? Let's take a look at the 5 L's on our screen, brother. Who's that?
Yeah, that is Villa.
Yeah.
They also fired their manager, brought in none other than Steven Gerrard.
Yep.
So,
and their manager, Dean Smith, is now the new manager for
Norwich.
Norwich City. So we're just playing
yeah.
swap around manager in the Premier League right now.
Dean Smith dropped 4 spots in 1 weekend, which is really tough for him as he now takes over Norwich. But Gerrard, he was incredibly successful at his last manager job at Rangers. He won the league invincible. He made it to the Europa League, I want to say round of 16, I believe it was last year with them before losing to Slavia Prague. So it'll be fun. And they play Liverpool soon as well, which is going to be really interesting to see Gerrard go up against the side that he spent his entire life at, basically.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of talk of that, right? I think we all know that Gerrard's dream job is to manage that Liverpool team.
Yeah.
And if he wants to do that, he's going to have to be very successful with Aston Villa. So I think Villa fans, like, even if he is using you as a stepping stone, you got to be kind of happy and excited about this appointment, because if he is going to try and use you guys as a stepping stone to get to Liverpool eventually in 3 to 4 years when Klopp retires or Klopp moves on, whatever, he's got to make an impact at Villa first, right?
Yeah. So we'll see how he does. He's inheriting a team with a lot of talent that's just incredibly underperforming.
For sure.
So see if he can't turn it around. Brighton this week is never an easy game. They're still top of the table, almost number 7, which is impressive. Disappointing draw last week, honestly, but red card and everything considered, take what you can get.
Yeah. Well, that being said, Ben, let's go ahead and hop into the games real quick, and we will take a look at them. Let's see here if it'll bring it up. Actually, I got to go to fantasy here. Fixtures, previous. Here we go.
There we go.
We'll start off with Villa, Ben. This was a Friday fixture. The only goal happened in the first 3 minutes of the game. Adam Armstrong.
Screamer.
Yeah, the rest of the game was dry.
Yeah, it was really, really boring game. If you missed the first 5 minutes, you missed everything. Armstrong with the screamer. I don't believe there was an assist on that. I don't know if they didn't give it to anybody.
Yeah.
And then I have Livermento, so Livermento owners rejoice. He's still doing it. He's still doing bits. He is literally everything, honestly. If you don't have Livermento and you need a budget defender, there's nobody better than him.
Yeah. Dude, he's basically, if you don't have him by now, he's not even budget anymore. He's like 4.5. He's 4.5. Literally, you could get Ben White for cheaper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if I'd go for him now at this point, but obviously those of us that bought it 4.0 or 4.1, 4.2 even.
Literal cash.
It's great value always. McCarthy has actually done, I think he's been the best keeper over the last 3 game weeks. 3 or 4 game weeks.
They've been keeping a lot of clean sheets, Southampton, and they have Norwich next. So, like, I would expect them to do it again, honestly. For Villa, really not that many good things to say.
Yeah.
I think Ings was out this game. I
think we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how Gerrard sets them up. Do you think he plays Ings and Watkins together? Do you think he plays one or the other?
I don't know. I think that they're going to demand him to use their new signings a little bit. So he might go with one to be able to play with wingers like Bailly, who started this game and who I think is a good player. I think that Bailly could come good for them soon. But that being said, I don't know if he'll use Watkins off the left and Ings up top, or if he'll use El Ghazi. He has a lot of options, so there's a million ways he can take it, and it'll be El Ghazi.
Do you think he sticks with the back 5 formation they were using, or do you think he swaps to a 4?
I think he goes to a 4. Yeah. I think he goes to a 4, and someone's going to lose their spot. I think Mings comes back into the team. Well,
if anybody loses their spot, it's going to be Tuanzebe.
Yeah, which is tough because he's on loan, so Man United might send him somewhere else. But yeah, not much value in terms of Villa at the moment. If you want to take
still got tough fixtures as well.
They have a really tough schedule coming up. But if you want to take a punt on someone, I think Bailly might be that guy.
Yeah. Was he 6.5, I think?
I think he's 6'4" now. I think he dropped.
6'4"?
But
yeah,
I don't know. Just if you want to avoid that striker who's going to start thing. If not, I would just definitely wait a week if you're trying to transfer in a Villa player, see what Gerrard's thinking, see what they do, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think Southampton, Dude, it's so funny to me because 2 weeks ago I transferred out Adam Armstrong after he didn't start 3 consecutive games, and now he's played 2 in a row and returned 2 in a row.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever, man.
It's just unlucky.
It's whatever. I transferred in the absolute fraud that we'll get into later, Ivan Toney, that hasn't done anything, but whatever. All right, let's move on to the good old Manchester derby.
I mean, Man City just had a training session. Yeah. Literally. No, they literally did. Like, they scored early, the own goal by bit unlucky, right? Bit unlucky bye. You can take that and try to move on. And then the second goal they scored, Bernardo. Just, I don't know what Luke Shaw is thinking, what he's doing. De Gea as well was kind of poor, but it should never even gotten to him. Yeah. Luke Shaw just lets the ball land deep at his back post. Bernardo sticks out a leg and kind of like forces the ball in off De Gea. And then the second half was just a training ground session. Like, they were just passing around cones.
Did you see what Kevin De Bruyne said about this game in terms of training?
Yeah, he literally said that, go on.
Yeah, he literally said that typically Pep has them train in training how they're probably going to play against whatever team, however they're going to set up. But Pep literally came to training and said, we have no idea how United's going to set up, and they trained for like 15 to 20 minutes and then left.
Called it a day. They could have not trained at all. They could have saved themselves gas money, honestly.
Bro, I saw someone tweet that, or wow, I can't talk. Quote tweet that.
There you go.
Say, and they continued their training session at Old Trafford on Saturday.
No, they literally did. It was a joke. It was literally a joke. Man United have no fight. De Gea, it should have been 3 or 4. De Gea stood on his head a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say. Man United don't look like they want to play for the manager. The board don't act like they want to bring in a new manager in the middle of the season because they can't find the right one, and they're not going to bring in some guy to caretake them till the rest of the season because they can just use Ole for that.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna hit you with a couple facts here. You ready?
Go.
Who on Man City do you think has the most passes in the final third?
Is it Cancelo? Yeah.
Who do you think has the most shots on goal for Man City?
Bernardo?
Cancelo.
Wow, that's wild.
So, yeah, I mean, he's played every single game this season. He started every single game for them in the league, and he is absolutely on fire. This week specifically, he had 2 assists in the league and 3 assists on Wednesday in Champions League. The man is just money.
Yeah, he's been terrific.
And performing well for them constantly. I know people were talking about, is he a rotation risk? He's just simply not at this point. He's definitely, if not the most nailed, the second most nailed behind Diaz in the defense. Yeah. And I think he's great value. And Man City's fixtures are about to get really good again in the next couple weeks. Not that, honestly, they have Everton at home this week, so that's a good one. You might as well bank that clean sheet already, in my opinion. Especially with them. Actually, does DCL come back this week?
I don't think so. I think they're going to rush him back for Man City.
So, it's easy. Like we did talk about Ben. I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, we said who's a differential in defense, and our pick was John Stones.
Yeah.
Because of that Laporte injury, he came in, got a clean sheet. We'll see if he continues to keep that spot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he may have started for England at least one of the games of international break, but he should be well rested. I know Laporte was probably playing for Spain as well. So, we'll see. It's Everton at home, and no one knows what Pep's going to do specifically after an international break. And then they obviously have a massive Champions League game next week against PSG. If they win that, I think they guarantee themselves a spot in the next round. Or they may have already guaranteed that, but they might guarantee themselves at least top of the group if they win that. I'm not 100% on that, but I think they guarantee top of the group if they win that game. So we'll see. It might be a rotation game for City against Everton because of that Champions League game.
Right.
And you don't want to risk anyone because at this point, that is their biggest game of the season. And Pep always says we don't look ahead to games. Our most important game is whichever one is next.
Right.
I think he'd be lying if he said that right now because PSG in the Champions League is definitely going to be more important than Everton in the Prem. But we'll see. We'll see how he goes, how he lines up and everything. But
talk to me about – let's talk about Man City FPL assets real quick. And let's actually also talk about Man United FPL assets. You own Foden. Give me your thoughts.
I still do. I still rate him. He's starting at number 9 in the league.
Okay.
He's played the last 3, 4, 5 games for them.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting goal contributions. He's in dangerous spots. I think that if you're taking a City midfielder, I still like Foden for the value.
Okay. What is he up to? He's like 8.3 now, something like that. He's
I
definitely
believe so,
skyrocketed in value since you got him.
He's gone up like 0.4 since I got him. I got him at 7.9.
So I think he's like 8.3.
Yeah.
You can fact check me, listeners,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure he is.
Around there. He's around there at
And
least.
yeah, I think he's the best. If you're going for a midfielder, he's got to be the pick. I don't think Kevin De Bruyne is worth the money this season. I just don't. I don't think he's worth 12 million. I think he's like 11.9, but I wouldn't touch him personally. And I think the one other asset for City offensively that's tempting for me is Gabriel Jesus.
Oh, not Bernardo. I thought you were going to say Bernardo.
I just don't think Bernardo, like, yes, I know he scored here. I don't think he's, like, and he's actually done well, and I actually backed him to do well kind of, like, within this last 5 weeks spell. I remember talking about it, like, 4 or 5 pods ago, actually, that he'd be a sneaky pick. Mm-hmm. But he's also just not a, person that you can count on consistently to be on the score sheet. Or to, like, I mean, I guess you could just count on him to assist a bit more, but he is playing a little bit deeper. He's not in the front 3. He's playing with De Bruyne in a 2, a pair of 8s, right, with Rodri behind him. So I don't really love that. Also, Gundogan could come back in at any point in time, so probably not in terms of that. But I do like Gabriel Jesus as a sneaky pick because everyone has been struggling to get points out of our strikers this year, especially in the last 3 weeks. Like, if you've had a striker score a goal, you're
chilling.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I think, with him pretty much nailing down that right wing position in the league, Mahrez is playing a lot more in the Champions League. I like him as a differential. I think he's like 8.7, 8.6 right now.
Yeah.
And he could be a nice little differential for people trying to gain some ground in mini leagues or even gain some rank. But definitely a little bit riskier of a pick, but I like it. Talk to me about Man United, Ben.
I'm staying away.
Staying full away? Their fixtures are about to turn soon.
I know
they do have Watford this week.
And maybe you can take a punt on someone like Greenwood if you want to go big and have Ronaldo.
But is Greenwood even starting for them? I don't even think he's starting anymore.
Sancho isn't. He's going to get more minutes than him as of late.
Did Greenwood start last week?
I don't know who started for them, honestly. But you can. I mean, there's other players. You can maybe go Bruno. You can maybe go Ronaldo. But for me, like, I don't think it's worth taking a Man United player. The way they're playing, the way that they act on the field, the way that they're playing under Ole, there's just no. It's kind of like Spurs were before Conte. There's no desire. There's no anything.
For me, that team right now is just Ronaldo or bust, right? In terms of FPL. And I mean, we'll get into it. I think a lot of people, given Spurs fixtures and their Kane's form over international break, that's kind of one of our topics we'll talk about more. But are thinking possibly Kane. But I think there's an argument to be made that you could just brush over Kane and go straight to Ronaldo because you're going to want Ronaldo for the long term anyways. I don't know. I think it's close. I think it's actually it's a conversation that should be had, I think. I could see Ronaldo outscoring Kane in the next four game weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. You're kind of relying on Kane to find form, and Ronaldo's a guy that constantly delivers like most of the season. I think he's the leading goal scorer this season across all competitions.
Well, I mean, he's performing a bit better in Champions League than he is in the Premier League recently, but yeah, I think it's a conversation to be had at the very least. And I think,
sold on Man United
come game week 16, we're going to be talking about United again.
Probably.
All right. Anything else to say on this game other than I don't know why Ole is still here?
It was a training ground session for City. They made light work of it.
All right, let's move on to
disappointing.
To the 3-pointer. Let's go.
So disappointing from Brentford. That's 4 straight losses in the Prem for them after a terrific start. They do play Newcastle this week, which will be interesting. But Norwich, congrats to them on their first win. Pukki is maybe the only asset there. If they're going to score, if they're on the score sheet, Pukki's going to be involved. Other than that, I'm not buying anything from Norwich. For Brentford, Ivan Toney owners, I'm an Embuemo owner. brought them in. They were doing great, and now they just don't do great, and it's really disappointing.
Now they just don't do great. I mean, you're right. They looked so good at the start of the season, right? And they've just their form has tanked.
Died. They just died. And Buemo did score this game too, and it was ruled offside, which wasn't that close, but that was disappointing. So
okay, well, you did say like Pukki's pretty much the only one you would touch at Norwich. I would agree with that. They do still have a decent next three. They've got Southampton at home, Wolves at home, and Newcastle away. Mm-hmm. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they get a little bit of a manager bounce from Dean Smith, and it's definitely why. If I was a Pukki owner, I'd probably keep. But I don't know if I'd be.
I wouldn't sell.
I wouldn't be transferring him in.
I'm not bringing him in, but I wouldn't sell him at the moment. You probably have a bit different fire to put out. That's not Pukki.
Yeah.
I'm
getting skittish on Tony. Like, there's part of me that literally just wants to transfer him out this week. I'm probably not going to.
Yeah.
But their form is dipping, and I don't know. I think all strikers in general right now in FPL are just pissing me off.
Yeah.
You can't buy a goal.
It's a midfielder's paradise these days. So
it's a defender's paradise, to be honest. But yeah, midfielders this week did eat good for sure. What do you think?
I still think those are the only two options in Brentford, and Buemo and Tony. I still think they'll come good. And Buemo's coming back from injury. Tony, he'll get something. Like he is the main focal point of their attack. So I would stick with those two if you're looking at Brentford. And that's more or less it, honestly.
Yeah. I'm just hoping for like a penalty or something from Brentford so I can get some Tony points because
Tony's ice cold from the spot. So
yeah, well, so the only other thing I'd say on Norwich is wait to see maybe what I think Pukki will be in it no matter what, but wait to see what Dean Smith comes out in terms of a lineup. Omo Bamidele is, and yes, I did pronounce that right. Points for me. Is 3.9 in FPL. So if you're needing to find some money defensively, he may be an option just as bench fodder, and he does start for them. But like I said, let's see if he actually starts under Smith. But yeah, Brentford need to pick it up a little bit. That's definitely a disappointing home defeat to the worst team in the league so far this year. And they're gonna want something bad against Newcastle this week, and Newcastle is gonna be wanting something bad against them. So that'll be a good game to watch.
It'll be a good game. Moving on. Yeah. Kai Havertz gets the goal, but Vidra cancels it out. Reece James again with the assist. He's been terrific.
Hey, can we talk about this? The 1 week I captained Kai Havertz, Salah puts him to bed, and then if I would have just continued captaining him for the next 2 weeks, he outscored Salah in both those weeks.
Yeah, I know. Crazy how this game works. God. But
golly, man.
Reece James seems to be the best defensive asset at Chelsea.
Yep.
I don't think there's any rotation risk with him at the moment unless he gets injured.
Yep. Well, Aspi hasn't even started the last 3 games. So I think he's definitely first choice right wing back. I don't think it's even a question. I think maybe against the top 4 team, if they play like
very defensive.
City, Liverpool. I wouldn't even say they would need to do that against United at the moment, but City or Liverpool, they may want to use Aspi in that back line. But even then, right? If James doesn't play against one of those 2 teams, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. He'll come right back into the fold.
And most of us have bench cover for something like that anyways. I currently am still on Rudiger only as my Chelsea defense. I don't, it's not a priority of mine to swap that right now, but I probably will be looking to make a sideways move to Reece James or Ben Chilwell within the next 3 to 4 weeks. I don't think I want double Chelsea defense anymore. Personally, that's my take. I think you definitely can still be on it. I think it's very viable. I'm happy with my City double, which I wasn't happy with the last few weeks leading up to that. Obviously, James and Chilwell were murdering me, but I think moving forward, I'm happier with that. And Kai Havertz finally getting me a goal. Finally.
Yeah, finally.
And I'll take that.
Good for him for scoring in the league, especially with the injuries and stuff.
Yeah, it was a nice little header. It was a great assist from James. He put it on a platter for him, just easy. Easy
Yeah,
money.
Lukaku and Werner still out at the moment.
Yeah, I think
Havertz also scored in the international break. Actually, he scored
yeah,
for
he
Germany
did for Germany. I think Lukaku is rumors at the moment are that he's set to be back for Leicester. I don't know if that means he will start the game
I think he
or
would come off the
he'll
bench
come
if
off the
anything.
bench or whatnot. Havertz owners like myself, I am iffy on if I'm going to move him this week or next week. It's definitely one or the other. They play Leicester away, I think.
Yeah, it is away.
And which isn't the easiest game. Leicester's
No,
kind
it's
of
not.
Mickey Mouse at the moment, so they could play really well like they did against United, or they could play poorly, like
We'll
they
see.
kind
We'll
of
see
did
which
last week.
version of Leicester shows up. There's such a conundrum on that team. Honestly, every year, man. There's some weeks where they're beating great teams, and other weeks where they're losing to poor teams. So
Right. Yeah, no, I
we'll see.
agree. What would your like? I know you don't own Kai. What were
Mhm.
what would your thoughts or advice be to even me as a Kai owner? Would you be
If
looking to get
it's
out this week or would
Yeah, if it's true that Lukaku is coming back, I would get rid also off the news that Pulisic is healthy as well.
Yeah, true. But I don't think
And
Pulisic
Pulisic can
really threatens Kai Havertz's number
I
9
he
position.
not the number 9 position, but in between below the number 9
Yeah.
where he played a little bit last year.
Yeah.
Pulisic was playing a lot there below the striker, and I could see him getting that spot back. Obviously, he was on target for the USA this weekend.
USA.
Massive,
That
massive
was a
win
fun
for
game
the
to watch.
USA,
I
beating
had some
Mexico
friends that
2-0.
actually drove up to Ohio to watch it.
That's
Like,
all.
they
Oh,
were there.
I had friends that flew over there. Actually,
Nice,
that's hilarious. Yeah, I had a couple of friends that flew to Ohio for that one. But he's gonna come back and he's gonna shake up that Chelsea attack 100%, in my opinion, because when Pulisic is fit, the dude's gonna start. The dude's too good to not start. So
Well, hopefully he can finally get a sustained run of just
fixtures,
health, man. He
yeah,
just
health.
needs to stay healthy. He's
Yeah.
just an injury machine.
Hopefully, yeah. Another big game for the USA tomorrow, so hopefully he stays fit and does well in that. He didn't even start for against Mexico. He came off the bench and scored. So
Yeah. Yep.
we'll see. We'll see.
But yeah, this is a we already touched on this earlier. Kind of disappointing for Chelsea fans. They had the opportunity to go 5 points above City this week.
They just couldn't take it against the
And-
Burnley. I mean, credit Burnley though. Credit Burnley. Sean Dyche, well done.
I mean, this is what Burnley does, though. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's move on to Palace at home against Wolves. It was another Wilfred Zaha, Conor Gallagher show, Ben.
Yeah, they seem to be the only two real attacking outputs for Palace recently. I know there's Edouard. I know Benteke hasn't been playing as much lately, but it really has just been Gallagher and Zaha. Disappointing from Wolves after a great run of fixtures to lose to Palace the way they did. Not what you want if you're a Wolves guy, but it happens. I didn't think that their great form was going to last that long, which is why I was impressed it did last as long as it did, honestly. That being said, they're an interesting case as well. Wolves, there's a lot of people that always have that Jimenez and playing debate. Who's going to play? Are they playing together? Is it something different? I still think there's more value in Jimenez going forward. I still think he's the guy. But if you're looking for Palace players, the only two that you should look at are Gallagher and Zaha. The only two.
Well, I agree. And on it personally, so it's funny because I think two pods ago, I asked you and I to order kind of our thoughts in terms of 3 players that were widely owned at that price, which are Gallagher and Bomo and ESR. And I, being a Gallagher owner, I put him at the bottom. And I've definitely changed my opinion on that at this point. I would put him either 1 or 2. I think a lot of people are finally starting to see how much of a difference he makes in this Crystal Palace offense. Specifically when Milivojevic is not on the pitch, he controls the entire game. He takes all the set pieces.
He gets to go more forward.
Everything is moving forward through him, and he's doing very similar work to what Emile Smith-Rowe is doing for Arsenal, just arriving in the box at perfect times to get these goals. Yeah. And he's been very impressive. He and Emile both got their first England call-ups over the international break, so congratulations to them. That's freaking awesome at their age. We love to see that. And, yeah, he's been very impressive. He finished on 11 points this week with a goal in all, a clean sheet point in all 3 bonus. Massive for me. Very happy with that and happy to have him moving forward as well. And I think it would be difficult I think it would be difficult to justify going Zaha over Gallagher at the moment.
No,
just
I wouldn't.
For that money
No,
savings.
I wouldn't. No, for the price point. And the only thing that you could say is Zaha is on penalties, and he was very good from the spot, but you don't want to bank on a team getting penalties every game, unless they're Man United last year. But yeah, I mean, Gallagher definitely seems to be the guy. Great young player. Zaha doing what he's done in the Premier League for just years and years and years, and getting Palace results when they need them. And Patrick Vieira, once again, just credit to him.
Yeah,
man.
wow. Dude, amazing job. Amazing.
Just incredible the work he's done with that team. It's truly remarkable to see.
Yeah, well, they also just had some fantastic signings over the summer, for sure.
They did. Yeah, they lost a lot of players. They had a lot of players out of contract. They brought back the right ones. The interesting thing to me is, will Gallagher be bought permanently? Is Chelsea going to take him back? Would he even get into that Chelsea side? But that is a question for way, way later next year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Palace will definitely be wanting to keep him, right? It's just whether or not he.
That's the thing. I don't think it's just going to be Palace. I think there's going to be a lot of suitors that might look better than Palace that are going after Gallagher. So obviously they're going to enjoy him this year, but after that, I think he's going to have a very nice price point.
I think in terms of FPL for Palace, I think you can also be looking at their defense. Their defense has put up some very impressive numbers. They have had, up until now, the second hardest fixture rating for the first, 11 game weeks in. They've had the second hardest fixtures in the league, and they've kept... they have a really good XGC, which is expected goals conceded. So their defense is actually solid. So expect them to keep some clean sheets against easier opponents like they did against Wolves. Specifically at home, I think Vincent Gaita is a good goalkeeper pick if you're on wildcard, if you're someone who has, and we'll get into this next game, but a Robert Sanchez and you're looking to move him on. I think the two at the top of the list have to be Gaita and Ramsdale. Those are my thoughts. I think, we could see some continued clean sheets from Palace moving forward. I like Tyreek Mitchell at 4.5 as well in defense.
I got nothing else to add to that, honestly. We can move on away from them, but yeah.
Cool. Let's hit up Brighton 1, Newcastle 1 at the Annex.
Yeah, disappointing. I'm a Robert Sanchez owner, so that sucks. Really disappointing in general from Brighton, honestly, to draw this game with the form they're in and the stuff they've done this season. To draw Newcastle is not what you want, but it happens when you go down to 10 men.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, they tied it. They leveled it before 10 men, so it was 1-1.
But to not get 3 points, I should say, instead of just being low. Yeah,
I mean, they were lucky not to lose that game. They should have lost that game. The reason Sanchez got a red is because he blatantly took out Callum Wilson in a one-on-one out of his box, and if that was inside the box, that's a penalty, and they probably lose that game. And they had to finish out the remaining 5 to 6 minutes with Dunk in goal. I don't know if you saw that.
I thought was it Duffy or Dunk?
It was Dunk.
Dunk, okay.
Yeah, I mean, watching him, I think he has bigger hands than Robert Sanchez, because watching him trying to put on Sanchez's gloves was funny, man.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. But it's funny. You gotta love an outfield player going in goal.
Yeah.
Is Trossard an option for you? He's been bagging lately.
He's got to be considered. I want to pull up Brighton's fixtures. I'm just going to pull it up on my phone real quick to take a look. I think the reason that he's not really at the top of my list right now is because their fixtures are kind of a mixed bag. So they've got Villa away next week.
Yeah.
Then they've got Leeds at home. We like that. Then we got West Ham away. That's a tough game. Southampton away. They've been looking decent defensively. Tottenham at home. At that point, you've got to assume Conte's probably got them in a better spot.
Yeah.
And then they've got Wolves at home, United away. It's just a very mixed bag. I'm not typically one to go in on Brighton offensively. Whenever I have Brighton assets in my FPL team, it's typically defensively. But he is playing number 9 for them, and he was on penalties this week. I don't know if that's going to be the same moving forward. Typically,
if
Gross takes them if he's on the pitch.
Yeah.
And he didn't, but I think he's an option. He's definitely an option. I mean, he's definitely a differential pick if you're trying to make moves and you back them to do well. They're a great team. I just think Brighton share goals a lot. They're very similar to Chelsea in that aspect, in my opinion, that they just kind of their goals
Whoever
come
scores,
from everywhere.
scores. Yeah.
You know?
Whoever scores.
Yeah, but I think he's an option. I would say that. And we'll talk more about Newcastle's fixtures upcoming because I am actually very heavily considering bringing in a Newcastle asset for this new manager bounce and some good fixtures as well. They're going to be wanting to add some points to their tally in these next 4 for sure. And I think this is a decent time to jump on them if you're interested, if that interests you. But let's move on. Ben, we got the win, 1-0. It was a KG win. We definitely deserved more than 1-0.
Yeah, the saved penalty from Foster, poor penalty from Aubameyang. Wonder if he's still going to be on them. And then
that's two consecutive missed in a row, right?
I know. Well, he did get the rebound on the other one. Yeah, but so like FPL wise, yes, but like in real life, no. Like it doesn't matter.
But you still got to think that's still like in a manager's head that counts as a missed penalty.
He did score a penalty. He scored a penalty for Gabon over international break, and he tweeted out like, "When you miss, you try again" or something. And he did score for Gabon for the spot, which obviously isn't the same level as the Prem, but it is nice to see him know that mentally that he can still do it. It was a really scrappy goal. What happened? Watford had a player go down, and they kicked it out of bounds. Then he got up right away, so Arsenal kind of just played on with it, and the Watford players were very frustrated because Arsenal scored from it right after. But 3 points in the bag for sure. Still just like a very, very cagey match. Definitely deserved more. Alba also like tried to tap in Odegaard's shot, which he was offside for. And
it literally would have been 2-0 if Alba didn't do that.
It would have gone in the net anyways, but it is what it is. It's done. What's done is done. So
yeah, I mean, we're just happy right here to come out of this game with a win. I mean, obviously we joke around with Watford. There were comments like 2 or 3 years ago with Troy Deeney saying that Arsenal lacks cojones. And there's always that bit of banter in between Watford and Arsenal. And honestly, they were like, jokes aside, Troy was right about that 3 years ago. That our team did lack cojones. We didn't come into games and win games that we should against teams like this. And, in a game like this, it's good to get the win. It's just good to get the win against, obviously they're not the best opponents, but in a game that a lot of things go against us, to still get the win, that just proves that we're still finding form. We're still moving forward, and that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take 3 points. I still think Alba is an asset despite his terrible week this week. I still think he is. He's still going to be starting, and he's playing with Lacazette now. And if
I got his jersey on right now, brother.
Yeah, respect. If Arteta does change back to Odegaard in the team, I think it's Lacazette that will be leaving the team, not Aubameyang.
Oh yeah, I think that's
part of that. And part of that is because Lacazette's out of contract in the summer. Alba's not, so you're going to play the captain. Other than that, we don't need to go in on Smith Rowe. Everyone knows how great Smith Rowe is. Scored his first England goal today, so we're going to stay away from that. But yeah,
what are your thoughts on I've been backing Arsenal defensively all season since we got like our back line solidified, right?
Yeah,
I still think we FPL wise, we offer maybe the best value in defense.
Yeah, Ben White at like what
4.4. He hasn't moved. He dropped in price once, and he hasn't moved since then. He's 4.4. We got Ramsdale, who's up to 4.6 now. I think he might even be 4.7.
Yeah, he might be 4.7. I think he's 4.7. But yeah, and then Tierney still at 4.4. I know he hasn't played recently.
Okay, that's a question I had for you. Right, let's talk about that. We know Nuno Tavares has looked very good in the last 2 games, covering for Tierney. We know Tierney is back and fit over international break. He played well, kept a clean sheet for Scotland. Do you think he comes straight back in next week against Liverpool? It's a big game.
I think he has to against Liverpool. You're not going to put Nuno up against Salah. You're going to put Tierney up against Salah.
Okay.
It's just that simple for me.
I agree with you. I don't
want to waste time and dive in on it. I think you have to put Tierney in against Salah. He's more experienced. He's more physical. He's not afraid to get stuck in. Now that Tavares isn't, but I think that Tierney also offensively, I think he offers great value. So
okay, yeah,
I'm sticking with him. I think he comes back. He's healthy again. But yeah, Arsenal defense, there's some banging value there.
Yeah, and we've been saying for weeks now that if you had to pick one between Smith Rowe and Saka, it's Smith Rowe, and he just continues to prove us right.
Again. Although Saka did score this game and get called back, which sucks.
True, he did. and that was early on in the game. We're starting games really well,
on fire,
which I love.
If Arsenal keeps that energy up for a whole game, there's not a team that can beat us.
Yeah,
literally, there's not a team. Like, we're playing some of the best football right now. So,
what are your thoughts going into next week? Do you think we have a chance to go to Anfield and get a result?
Because everyone's all hype and this 8-game unbeaten run and 6 wins and 2 draws, and it's great. But then I look at the opponents, and there has been a lot of lesser opponents, and then the big boys that we have played Leicester away. All right, great. You won 2-0. They definitely should have scored at least once. Ramsdale bailed us out. And then Spurs 3-1. You can call it a one-off or a derby. It was a great game, but we did kind of die down once again after the initial ridiculous start. Right. So I'm cautiously excited, because I want to see how we do against a team that is like considered like I said, Spurs. Take nothing from Spurs, and we'll take whatever you want. Spurs, I care less, but. Take nothing away from Leicester. Like, they're a great team, right? They're a great team opposed threat to any team on their day in the Premier League. That being said, they're not up there with the Man City's, Chelsea's, Liverpool's of this league.
For sure.
So I think it'll be really interesting to see how we do against one of the big boys, seeing how we've been, we got battered by Chelsea and City earlier this year.
Right. And so I agree. I want to see, this is what I want to see.
Turn, or is it just we're doing what we should, which is still great.
Right.
But are we doing what we should, or is it really, hey, we're at this door right now, like we're here?
I agree. I would be happy personally with just going there and holding them to like 1 goal, 2 goals even maybe. Like,
I'm not gonna accept losing 1 or 2-0 as something I'm happy with, even if it's.
I'm not saying I'll be happy with it is wrong wording, but it will be an improvement for us, right? To go there and do that. It will be. Based off last 4 years, it will be.
Yes, it will be an improvement, but that's not where I'm trying to be. I want to see us go get something from this.
Yeah, I want at least a point. I want to walk out of there with a point.
What we're seeing, if we're really what we are seeing, and we're playing this well each game, and our defense is that solidified, and you want to be in the Champions League, you want to be in the top 4, you want to be competing for the title, go do it against the big boys. Yeah. We've seen that they're not invincible. Hell, I mean, that was their first loss, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Happy Invincible Day to everybody, Arsenal fans everywhere. No other team has gone a league season unbeaten but us, and West Ham just confirmed that again this year.
Yep.
But if you want to go compete at the top, you have to go beat the top. And we've seen they're not some incredible – nothing away from West Ham. They beat them. Brighton drew them after being down 2-0. They're not some immovable object like they were 2 years ago, where the only day they got beaten was a SAR masterclass.
Right.
So I don't think they're the best top 2 teams in the league. I think the table shows, and I fully believe the table is right in saying Chelsea and City are. So if you want to go compete for those 3rd and 4th spots, go beat the teams you're competing with. Yeah. So that's what I want to see. There's a lot on the line this Saturday. So
for sure, I'm excited to watch it.
100%.
All right, let's move on. 0-0 Everton, and Spurs. This is Conte's second game.
First Premier League game. First Premier League. He coached in the European Conference League, where they won 3-2 against Vitesse.
Yep. So first game specifically, I mean, I didn't watch most of this. I didn't even watch the highlights, so I'm not going to pretend to know how this game went, to be honest with you. But from what I've heard, I've listened to other podcasts, specifically playing at FPL. James is a massive Spurs fan. I did listen to him talk about the game, so I can kind of relay that information a bit. The words he used was organized but harmless, meaning that Conte got them in a defensive shape. They're playing 5 in the back formation now, and they looked, solid, but they also looked harmless going forward. So that's the big test, that Conte has as well. He's got to balance them out defensively, but he's also got to get his 2 main guys in Kane and Son firing on all cylinders. So
I think that's actually a good thing for Spurs if it's organized but harmless, because that shows Conte is getting the base of his team right. You got to build a team. I tried to talk about it too. You start from the back. Once Conte solidifies the back, he'll work on the forwards. And for now, he can rely on Son or Kane with a moment of magic. But once he builds that 5 at the back, and he can then start focusing on getting the team to go forward and gel and push the wing backs and push the midfielders.
Yeah.
They're going to be a scary team if he gets them organized and if he does what he has done so many times at so many different teams.
Yeah, well, one thing I did notice, I did actually see a couple clips online that I forgot about until now. There were multiple occasions of Emerson Royale and left wing back, help me.
Reguilon.
Crossing to each other. So they're both getting forward, and obviously nothing came of it. It was 0-0 at the end. But there were multiple occasions of Reggie crossing across to Royale on the other side for a shot opportunity, and Emerson Royale crossing across the box to Reguilon. So I think they could possibly be, it's hard to justify going for them right now with the likes of like Reece James and
no, there's better
Cancelo
defensive assets than them right now.
Yeah, but I think maybe moving forward they could be something to look at.
Mm-hmm. It could be interesting. I think that Spurs over the next couple of weeks are going to be a very interesting case. Obviously, a lot of people are going to dive in. Is it Kane? Is it Son? If you're picking one, which one do you take?
Well, let's talk about it, Ben. Let's talk about it right now. Let's just get into it, right? Because that's one of our main topics is Spurs go or no go.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? And who are your thoughts?
I'm in, and I still like Son more than Kane, despite Kane's form over international break.
Okay.
You're still
backing Son over Kane.
I think they're going to be playing I think they're going to play as a strike partnership. I still don't think, even with the appointment of Conte, Kane wants to be there.
Okay.
And we'll see if that changes. Obviously, for those that don't know, he played 2 games and had 7 goals in international break, a hat trick, and then a 4-goal game today. Mm-hmm. That being said, the games were against Albania and San Marino, so take it with a grain of salt. He's literally probably played tougher teams on loan in the championship. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think that I wouldn't do a double up. I would not do a double up on both of them right now. And I'm still leaning towards Son just because of what I've seen from Kane's body language so far in the season.
Okay. That's totally fair. I think I would 100% be with you had he not scored 7 goals over the last 2 games internationally. And honestly, I may just be it could easily be recency bias, and maybe it's a situation where Kane enjoys himself playing for England.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
And he just plays well for England, and he could just go right back to Spurs and play back
to captaining Spurs, and it might be oh shit, I'm here again.
Right.
Like damn, like that was such a nice vacation almost. Like I got to go play with like all these great players and have fun and body people and like play for one of the best national teams in the world. Right. And then I come back to Spurs and we're 9th, and I've been here for 7+ years, and I've had 3 managers in the last 9 months, and yeah,
no, I agree with you. I think that's totally valid, and I'm not gonna say going for one or the other is better. I think they're both valid options. I think I agree with you that I wouldn't go for both, especially because there's just so many other good cheap options in the midfield right now that are firing, and honestly, no strikers at the moment are really returning. So I think you can spend your budget better than to spend, what would that be, like 23 million between the two of them if you got both of them?
Just shy of, but yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. And I'll get into my thoughts specifically with my team later on, but I will be bringing in one of them most likely. The only reason I could see myself maybe not bringing one of them in is if I decide I want to prioritize Jota, but also Jota is playing Arsenal this week, and jokes aside, I think we'll give them a tough game. So
I agree.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one to decide between one or the other. I think the pro for Kane is obviously that he's on penalties. The other pro for Kane is that he does hold down that premium striker slot. If you're moving off of him later on, it makes it easier to get to a Ronaldo or a Lukaku or a Vardy. But I think Son, he's been the most consistent for Spurs specifically, and he's on a long-term contract. He, for whatever reason, God
loves it.
No idea why, wants to be there. So I think there's pluses and minuses to both, Ben. I think it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out over the next couple. And I think that, I agree. Is there anything else you have to say on that? Because I think that wraps it up pretty well.
We can move on.
Okay.
We'll probably I think we have a question about it too, so we'll probably talk about it later more.
Cool. Leeds 1, Leicester 1, Ben. Rafinha with a carbon copy goal that he had earlier on this season.
Just another whipped in ball that everyone doesn't touch and falls in the corner.
Well, bro, it was it was their striker who dummied it again
Rodrigo.
He dummied it again, the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And he just, Rafinha from the right side hits it with pace and curl, and Rodrigo dummies it, and it goes on the corner against Schmeichel. I was happy to see that as a Rafinha owner. Yeah. And then Harvey Barnes literally a minute later scored. Dude, he scored a banger, to be fair.
Yeah.
That was a nice goal.
He might be finding form. He's been playing well recently, even without the goal. Like, he's been playing well.
Mm-hmm. He looked good when he came on against us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's been playing well. Soumare with the assist. He's someone that I just think away from FPL is going to be a terrific signing for them. Mm-hmm. Vardy obviously letting a lot of people down once again. He's been blanking recently. It's just not been good recently. For Leeds, I mean, we can sum up Leeds. If it's not Rafinha, it's nobody right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's what I said. I think I said that on last week's pod. Is I can act like there's so many good options in midfield right now, but none of them, at a low price point, can I see them finishing the season being the top goal scorer for their team, other than Rafinha. And that's why I just think he's excellent value. Especially with Bamford continuing to be out.
Just hurt. And that's really tough on him, specifically before the World Cup year. And he definitely wants to try to crack that England squad, but it's going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. Barnes obviously scoring, Vardy disappointing, Leicester again kind of disappointing. This is a game coming into it before it started that you would think, okay, Leicester will probably win this game.
Right.
It's a tough break, but it was a fair result, honestly, based on the balance of the game. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have much to say on this one, honestly.
Yeah, neither do I.
Options.
What are your thoughts on Vardy moving forward? Do you have Vardy right now? You do, right?
I have him, and I might be swapping for Son soon.
Okay, so you say swapping for Son, which means you'll make an extra.
Yeah, I'll
extra
make
move.
another. Yeah, I'll make another.
You're thinking about getting him out.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting him out.
I'm probably in that boat as well.
It isn't a knock on Vardy as much as it is a compliment to Son's fixtures.
That's fair, and that's fair. I think a lot of people
it's like, he didn't score in 2 games, and I'm panic selling him.
Right.
I think Vardy is a terrific option. I think he's a great player. I think Son has better fixtures and a new manager, and they're going to start scoring goals more.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm right there with you. I think he'll probably be the scapegoat for the Suns and the Canes moving in if people are making that move. And it could easily backfire on all of us. He could score against Chelsea this week and then score next week as well. I think they have a decent fixture, so who knows, but yeah, he's been disappointing since I think a lot of people brought him in. When everybody brought him in after Lukaku got injured, he has just blanked incessantly. So I think a lot of people are probably getting the itchy finger on him. And I don't think really anybody else has any other Leicester players at the moment. So
no, there aren't many fantasy options. So we can move on to the final game of the week if you want.
The final game, probably the biggest game of the week. To be fair.
He's not on my team. I'm just happy for Kurt Zouma, man.
Dude, he's been so good for them. He's such a good signing.
I've been saying he was in my FPL team. He gave me 2 great returns before I had to transfer him out to bring in, funny enough, Alexander-Arnold, who also had a great game.
Yep. Fantastic game. Yeah, that's why you buy Trent Alexander-Arnold there.
It is. But Zouma also baller. So you got to respect it. Crazy he didn't get it in the bonus, honestly. Absolutely wild. I don't know who does the bonus point system, but Zouma not being in it is just wild to me.
That's fair.
Anyways, Trent. I have Trent. He is the Liverpool asset to get. Obviously, okay, there's Salah. Talking behind.
I was about to say, are you?
I'm talking behind Salah. Salah gets a given. I'll explain it to make sure people don't think I'm an idiot more than I already am. But yes, Salah's obviously like different level, but below him, Trent's the asset, like the asset in this Liverpool team. Origi coming on and scoring a goal was a bit wild, but good to see him still contributing. Like he's kind of been a backup player there for years and years, but very excited to see him score. It's always a nice thing for him. Mm-hmm. But this game was about West Ham, wasn't it? It was Zouma, it was Fornals, it was one of the wildest own goals I've ever seen by Alisson. Like I don't know what was going on for that one. I saw that it was the ball, like during that play there was a 0.00 xG when Alisson scored the own goal.
Yeah, like it was definitely a weird one.
It was just strange, but you take what you can get, specifically against Liverpool. So
yeah, well, credit to West Ham. Yeah, credit to West Ham for sure. I'm gonna continue to beat on this Jared Bowen train, bro. This drum is I'm just gonna keep beating on it, and I'm never gonna bring him in. I'm just gonna keep talking about him all season.
He's good, man.
Because
he's a good player.
He is I think that's 6 consecutive weeks he's contributed goal contribution, either
crazy,
scored or assisted, and he's 6.3, I think 6.3 in FPL. Dude, when West Ham, because right now their fixture kind of iffy. When West Ham get better fixtures again, I think there'll be a bandwagon for him for sure.
There might be, yeah.
Because I think he is what everybody wanted Saeed Benrahma to be.
It's definitely disappointing as an Antonio owner that they've scored 7 goals in 2 weeks and he hasn't touched one of them.
Yeah, try 7 goals in 1 week and not touching one of them, bro.
Yeah, and you captain Taverts, that's tough.
Been there, bro.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. For West Ham,
I agree.
Antonio's the focal point, and like,
but that's the thing is he's in and around all of these goals.
He'll get there. He'll get
like
there.
Even this week, if Bowen would have laid it off to Antonio instead of Fornals, it would have been an Antonio goal. So it's like he's there, and he's a fantastic striker. He scored for Jamaica over international break as well.
USA plays him tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tough game. Low key, Bailey and Antonio going up against, and we're missing one of our best defenders. That's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, Miles Robinson got a red card.
I know, but he's been, dude. He needs to get a move abroad. Honestly,
dude. ATL United, baby. Let's go.
We got the playoffs coming up in a week. By the way, you know that, right?
Yes, sir.
We got NYCFC on the road, which should be a fun one. But I think Robinson's gonna get either to England or Germany. Hopefully, soon.
I can see it.
Way too good. He's way too good to be in the MLS. But anyways, we're not here to talk about MLS. Although we can do that too.
Hey, we can do that. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about, bro. It's our podcast, you know.
But yeah, I guess we could talk about MLS. If you all have MLS questions, feel free to shoot them in before the playoffs. Happy to chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Liverpool, they won this game on XG, but obviously that means nothing on the table. Mm-hmm. And we've seen them struggle recently, which is kind of why I have a little bit of hope for us going into this weekend.
It's the hope that gets you.
It is the hope that gets you. You're on great form and they're not, and you're going to their place, which is a fortress recently, and it's difficult. But we'll see what happens.
So it's interesting that Origi got on the score sheet this week, right? Because if Mane is confirmed out, you would expect him to probably start, actually.
If Mane and Firmino are, I would.
Well, Firmino, I think Firmino's dead set out for sure.
If Mane's out, then I would expect Jota to come in for him. If Firmino's out, I expect Origi to come in from him.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I would think. I think we could see a Jota, Origi, Salah front line from Liverpool this Saturday.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to say the
least.
And
then no Henderson. I think, is Keita healthy? Is Keita fit? I don't think so.
I don't know. Didn't Ox play this game?
Think so. I'm not sure. They have tons of midfielders, but they can go a million ways with it. Yeah. Klopp has options. So
it's crazy that Thiago isn't even a regular in this team, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard that Xavi wants him at Barcelona actually, so we could see that happen. Yeah, I think he would thrive at Barcelona.
Yeah, he'd be a good fit.
Again, he's been there before, obviously, but yeah, that just about wraps up the game week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I that's why you pay the money for Trent, is in a game where they concede 3 goals, he scores a goal and has an assist. It's just crazy, right? So
3 bonus points as well. He's just world class.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts on, so 3 weeks ago we came on the pod and we said we're not going to talk about captaincy from here on out. And then after that, Salah went on to blank twice. Yeah. Well, blank, he got an assist in both weeks, right?
In both games, so yeah.
So it's not the end of the world. But are we moving into territory? Can we start talking about captaincy again, or no?
I mean, you can always talk about it. There's always going to be guys that have better weeks than Salah some weeks.
Right.
So you can always gamble on that, but it's just a matter of how far you willing to fall behind if you're wrong.
Right.
And if you're wrong, and like Salah has a ridiculous track record against us as well. He's so good against everybody. He has a great track record against everybody. So I don't know why I'm specifying us just because we're playing him.
Yeah. But well, I mean, he does tend to score.
Yeah,
against us pretty well.
So you could always have that discussion of, do I want to take a punt on someone else? Just know that you are running the risk of falling behind if Salah does what he typically does and your guy doesn't.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you can always have that discussion if you want. I think it's fun to have that discussion, but at the end of the day, no one's going to sit here and be like, oh, you really messed up because you captained Salah this week.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I mean, I think that will be key in moving forwards, is knowing when and when not to go against the grain. I mean, we joke about it every week, right? But I still to this day don't regret captaining Havertz. I think it was just a freak, phenomenon that happened that week. So I will continue to look for opportunities to go against the grain and not captain Mohamed Salah, because I think it's a good opportunity. I mean, obviously, it's also a great opportunity to fall deeply in the ranks.
Yeah,
but I think it's a good
opportunity
to move up. So I will. I forgot. I will go ahead and share my game week, and then we will go into yours. I actually had a really, really good game week, which I'm very happy with. I feel like my plans are finally starting to pan out a bit.
Jeez.
So we finished on 78. The game week average was 42 points, so that's 36 points above average. Game week rank of 20,000 in the world out of 8,600,000 players. So that's super solid.
Oh,
considering I could have gotten even more if I would have played Diaz or Livramento.
Rudiger,
I mean, the only thought that I had was possibly playing Diaz over Antonio.
Ramsdale. You would have gotten too. It was crazy.
Well, imagine if I played bench boost this week, bro. That'd have been
that's an incredible game week.
That'd have been a 101 pointer. But very, very, very happy with how that went down. Obviously, Cancelo with his 2 assists and clean sheet. Trent with a goal and assist. Ramsdale keeping a clean sheet, getting a bonus point. Rafinha would have finished on 10 if he didn't get a yellow for celebrating, as he always does. And my main man, Gallagher, getting the goal, all 3 bonus.
So wild. So many points, and then the front line.
Yeah, right?
Strikers. Literally strikers.
And you definitely would have backed every single one of these strikers to score this. Well, maybe not Antonio.
They all had a chance, right? They all had a chance.
Right. I mean, Vardy, I think a lot of us expected him to score against Leeds. Tony, we all expected him to score against Norwich. So it could have even been better. But 78 this week, very, very happy. I have 2 transfers going into international break. Obviously, I'll make them this week. I'm probably going to be using both of them. I have multiple thoughts on it. This is how I'm lining up at the moment. I have Livramento on the bench. I know he's playing Norwich away, but I also have Rudiger on the bench, which is weird, right? Because I'm thinking about taking out Vardy, but then I'm like, well, if I think Leicester's going to score against Chelsea, shouldn't I just keep Vardy?
It's up to you. You have options.
Yeah, no, I have options, but I'll show you kind of what my thoughts are. I have like kind of 3 or 4 thoughts. My thoughts are a swap of Havertz and Vardy, and I'm kind of in between. Maybe it could be like a Son and Callum Wilson. It could be a Kane and Maxwell Cornet.
Yeah.
And the other one I was thinking of is if I wanted to keep Havertz for a week, before Lukaku comes back, I could possibly do Rudiger to Ben White and Vardy to Kane. Yeah. So I just have a lot of options. I'm probably bringing in one of the Spurs boys, and Vardy will probably make way no matter what. I have flexibility in my formation at the moment, which I still like. It does lead to somewhat of a benching headache each week, but I'd rather have a benching headache than not have any cover on my bench. And I'm pretty happy with how I'm looking here. I like the double city defense this week against Everton at home, and I like the way the rest of the team lines up. The only other thought I had is maybe benching Rafinha against Tottenham this week, because they do play Tottenham away. And they probably will be a bit better defensively, but he's also, if Leeds score, it's going to be him, right? So, I mean, this may be how I line up. It may not be. Obviously, I think 2 of these players will be out and 2 new ones will be in. I'm just not sure who those will be yet, but those are my thoughts, and I'm happy with this week. Hopefully, I can continue the momentum going into next week.
Nice. Congratulations on the good game week. I'll share my screen, which was a bad game week.
It happens.
I hit 39, so 3 below. I had 2 players get me negative points.
That's tough. That's just
Sanchez
unlucky, man.
And Alba both getting negative points. I did have Trent, which I'm very happy I brought him in. I did start the cheap goat, Livramento. Rudiger losing the clean sheet was tough. I actually meant to captain Aubameyang, forgot to click save, which ended up being lucky because it ended on Salah. Emblemo.
That would have been tragic, bro. Can
Yeah,
you
that would've been
imagine?
really
You
tough.
finished on
Yeah.
-2 from your captain.
Yeah, that'd been tough. Emblemo getting the goal called back definitely sucked. He's been in bad form. Foden, I can't be mad because like City didn't have to score in the second half, but like if they wanted to, they probably could have. I still rate him as a pick. Honestly, if you're looking for a captaincy option, Foden home against Everton is definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
And then Sarr, Vardy, Antonio, we just talked about them. Sarr also kind of blanked. And then Tierney
tough
on the
week
bench.
for your midfield apart from Salah, but
terrible week for my midfield. So in terms of transfers, what I'm thinking is I have 2 as well. I have Steele, who should come in straight for Sanchez. Was Sanchez a straight red card?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Then maybe I'd work him out of the team next week. But I'll probably roll with Steele for a week. What I'm thinking is getting Sarr and Vardy out for maybe Son and maybe Hwang, maybe someone else, maybe St. Maximin if I want to take that punt, although Wilson is back. But might want to see if Eddie Howe plays a 2-striker or what he does, or if I want to take a big punt and just say St. Maximin get in the team because I think he's awesome as a person.
Well,
as
he'll be in the team no matter what, right? It just
yeah. But the goal threat's going to be leaning towards Wilson.
Yeah, I agree.
So Wilson, the 2 that I'm looking to swap out right now, and I'll make those decisions after everything is done and dusted come like Thursday or Friday. So that's where I'm at. That's where my team is at. I still rate Foden. I still think he's good. I'm trusting in Mbeumo to maybe turn it around now that he's healthy. Alba, obviously, post Liverpool, we get Newcastle at home. I don't know why Man United away is in the red. Like, that's possible. I think Everton away is also possible. Southampton, like out of like these next 5 right here, I'm most scared for West Ham at home. Like, I think he has a better chance in United and Everton than he does against West Ham. So I still rate him. I still think he's a good pick.
Okay.
And there we go. Now let's stop sharing my screen. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm looking to bring in one of the Spurs boys as well, though.
Cool. Yeah. I think a lot of people are probably taking that gamble. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out, right? Because we could all go for Spurs players and they could just continue to be crap.
That's very true.
But yeah, I think that's decent. For sure, decent thought process.
We'll see what happens. It's crazy. That team a couple weeks ago hits me like 115 or something, and then it hits
the duality of a man, right?
It's literally just how it works.
That's
right?
how FPL is.
How it works. It's just how it is.
And I mean, the same goes for me. Like 2 weeks ago, I had a crap game week, and this week I have a great one. So
it
mean,
happens.
you and I actually have very different teams. Like in terms of like our entire midfield's basically different.
Yeah, well, Barsala, but that's expected.
Yeah,
we both have Rudiger. I don't have City defense, although I am looking to bring one in soon.
Okay. Yeah, your front line is different than mine, apart from Antonio.
Antonio and Vardy. We both have.
We have Vardy. Yeah,
we have 2 of the 3, so that one's not that different. But the midfield and our defense is our main difference.
Yeah.
So it is different, but we'll see. I might be getting, like I said, Vardy's probably not sticking around. So.
Okay.
And that, like I said, not a knock on him, more of a compliment to Spurs, which sucks.
Which sucks, he says in his Arsenal jersey. Yeah, no, I think that wraps it up pretty well. Ben, I think we had some questions this week. My phone actually died, so I'm gonna let you.
Apologies for being on my phone, but this is where we got.
Okay, I usually read the tweets off my phone.
The first one we got was from Trevor Deal. He said, "What are some highlights from international break that could be a factor for FPL Week 12?" Initially, I just think Kane, obviously. Are there anything else that stood out to you? Because we did talk about Kane and his form already.
I think a couple that stand out to me. Gundogan scored a brace for Germany. Obviously, take
Havertz
that.
Scored for them too.
Yeah, Havertz did as well. Take that with a grain of salt to an extent. The big ones are Tierney being back. So he'll be back.
Massive
Arsenal. We as Arsenal fans expect him to probably jump straight back into that starting 11. And then
I wouldn't be shocked if it's Nuno.
I kind of would, to be honest.
I wouldn't with his form lately. He's been very good, but I expect it to be Tierney, but I'm not going to be like taken back if I see Tavares' name on the team sheet.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And let's see what else. I don't know. I think that's kind of all we've learned from international play. I still need to monitor a lot of different injuries. Like obviously we need to know how long is Firmino out, Because if Firmino's out for 5 to 6 weeks, that makes Jota an
Jota
incredible option again.
Just like he was earlier.
And what else? We need to
Mane,
figure out when.
How long's Mane's out?
Right. Well, if Mane's even out, because I heard it was minor, but you're thinking it's a little bit worse.
I thought that he was a doubt for Saturday.
I think he's a doubt, but I think he'd probably play.
I don't know if he would play. But we'll see.
Okay. Well,
apparently Robertson limped off the pitch today for Scotland. I don't know how serious that is, but I read that on Twitter.
Okay. We need to figure out, when is Lukaku back? Is it this week? Is it next game week? My biggest advice would be, obviously, I think a lot of people have two transfers this week. Wait until the pressers. Before making any transfers. Is there a Friday game this week, Ben?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's
Saturday. So deadline will be Saturday really early if you're in the US. So you're probably going to be wanting to make transfers late Friday evening. But to keep your ear to the Twitter bubble as well. They're very helpful. If you do not follow Ben Krellin on Twitter, give him a follow. He handles and tweets about any and all injuries that happen in the Premier League for Premier League players internationally. So he tweets about any and all of them. So he's the best source for that. But other than that, I think that's about all I had in terms of international stuff.
Yeah. Another question from Jake's. Maximin and Tony.
All right, Ben.
People are hot. How cold should they be traded out?
You totally just cut out for that.
My thing is,
Ben.
like, what, you have something to say? Go ahead.
No, you totally cut out for that question. Can you repeat it?
Can you hear me now? Hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. He said, worth keeping St. Maximin, Antonio, Tony, and Vardy. People that were hot but now cold, or should they be traded out?
Okay. Good question. I like that question.
So, I would say I wouldn't jump ship on them yet if you still like them. Dips in form happen all the time, and you never know when they could come back. Specifically, Newcastle with a new manager bounce is St. Maximin's probably going to start. Could he get a boost from that? Antonio hasn't been scoring, but West Ham have. We mentioned that. Tony is one I'm not huge on at the moment. Mm-hmm. And like I said, if Leicester score, Vardy's typically right there. So I'm not huge on getting rid of him either. I just think Son is a better option right now with fixtures.
Yeah. I mean, I think that question, Jake, obviously it differs from team to team, right? But if I had to make a decision for each one of those players, it would be St. Maximin out, probably. If you can upgrade to Callum Wilson, I would do so. If not, maybe hold for a couple game weeks. They do have good fixtures. Tony, it would be keep for the Newcastle fixture and then sell, probably. I mean, I think Brentford are finally regressing to the mean a little bit, and we're starting to see kind of maybe what their season as a whole will look like. I don't think they'll be this bad. I think they're still a good team, and I think they will stay up. But I do think, what we saw at the beginning of the season was a bit overperforming from them. And what were the other two? Vardy and Antonio.
Vardy and Antonio.
Antonio's a keep for me.
I keep both.
Vardy is very dependent on what you're looking to do with your team.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. I think we have two more.
Okay.
Let me double check. This one's from FPL Beer Drinker on Twitter.
Okay.
And they said, is Callum Wilson a strong option?
I think he is. I think he's a great option, to be honest.
I think him and St. Maximin over the next couple of weeks could be good, very good.
Yeah, well, especially I love a
Wilson's play style under Howe.
Yeah. So
I think he could tear it up again.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at it, he's technically only started, I think, 6 games for them this season, and he scored in 4 of them.
Yeah, no, he's a great player.
So
he's a great player.
If Newcastle score, he's typically on the score sheet. And like I said, they're going to be needing to gain some points from these next 4 with these good fixtures. And I'll actually bring up the fixtures in a second. But they're good.
They play Arsenal away in next week.
Yeah, next week. But other than that, 3 out of the next 4 are really good.
Really good.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, last question is from Ryan McKee. He says, Laka, best striker in the Prem at the moment. Ramsdale, the best Prem keeper of all time. Ryan, look, I don't want to discourage you from asking questions, but don't ask questions you know the answer to. The answer is obviously yes. Lacazette is the best striker in the Premier League, probably of the last decade, honestly. And is Ramsdale the best goalkeeper of all time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a given.
That's
all
a
right?
yes, actually.
Manuel Neuer has 0 clean sheets in the Premier League in his career. Ramsdale got one last week. All right,
Hey.
we're not doing this.
Preach.
All right, we're not doing this. We know the answer. Thank you for the question, Ryan. You're spitting nothing but facts right now, and that's my favorite question we've ever gotten. Yeah. It's just really that's a masterclass by Ryan McKee, who also did, by the way, for those that play along with this, Ryan brought in Rice back into it.
He brought him back in.
I had lunch with him today. He brought Rice back in the team. Rice has been cooking. He's gonna keep cooking.
That's pure comedy.
I'm all for it.
That is pure comedy.
I am all for Rice.
For those of you that just want to know, because you do, our group chat, like we have like 11 or 12 people in our mini league.
Amount.
It's just every weekend. It's just a Rice meme. Like Declan Rice just is talked about more than probably anyone else on the face of this planet.
More than Salah.
Yeah.
More than Salah, 100%. If you wonder like what players talk about most in our fantasy Premier League group chat, no, it's not Mohamed Salah. It's Declan Rice. It's Declan Rice. My brother could play like 2 good passes, and I'm like, holy shit, did you guys see that? Like,
yeah, no, it's funny for sure.
Anyways, that does it for questions.
Player picks.
Want to ask us a question? And we still have player. I'm just saying, if you ever, am I lagging? Am I frozen?
Yeah, you were lagging there for a sec. You're good now.
I thought so. Yeah. If you, we do have player picks. We'll get those. If you ever want to ask us a question, Twitter at @BorderlineFPL, tweet at us, and you will get your question read, your name shouted out. We will answer it. It can be about MLS if you want, but feel free to ask us and keep sending in those questions. Thank you to all who did this week.
Yes.
Thank you. Player picks.
Okay, player picks. Let's look at fixture difficulty rating real quick, and then we'll get into player picks. Just highlight some teams that have good runs. So one I want to point out is Burnley. They have, Crystal.
I don't think Crystal Palace at home should be a green.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't
agree with that. I think City are the team to look out for. Everton home. And then West Ham home is difficult, but Villa away, and then you're having a field day.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you look at Spurs for these next 4, like we've been talking about, and then also what was the other one that we were talking about? Newcastle. Their next 3 home fixtures are prime.
Yeah.
Prime.
Literally. So they're the team. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, so player picks, Ben. My phone died, but luckily I remember it because we went over it before we started recording.
You are up 10?
I'm up 10 now. We both had a shambles game week. I picked Cucurella. They conceded, and he didn't do anything, so that was a 2-pointer. You picked Alba, probably on his worst game week of the season.
Ever.
Unlucky.
Yeah. It's so crazy. If you just gone the other way, I would have had a great game week. But
yeah, I mean, if he just puts the penalty away,
that's what I'm saying. He puts the penalty away, he gets that, and he's in the bonus.
Yeah.
So
it is 70-60 overall at the moment, Ben.
You're first this week.
There's no way I picked Cucurella first. You picked Alba first.
That's why I said you're first this week. Because I picked first last.
Yes.
That's how it works. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Things are hard,
Wow.
Long day at work. My brain's fried.
Good Lord. Anyways, you get your pick of anyone that's not on Southampton.
Okay. I'm trying to think of who we've picked so far because, like I said, my phone's dead.
I have a pretty good memory of it, and I'll let you know.
Okay. I think this is a tough one. So there's actually a couple fixtures that jump out at me here. It's the Newcastle at home against Brentford. It's Palace Burnley. And it's Spurs Leeds. Those are the kind of ones I'm thinking about right now. It's tough. I'm gonna go Callum Wilson.
Okay.
Because I can see the headlines writing itself. First game, Eddie Howe back. Callum Wilson scores a brace as they get the Newcastle campaign back on track.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that game too. I was thinking Wilson, but I thought you might go for him, so I'm going to go for one of my favorite players in the Premier League and take St. Maximin.
Okay.
I
You're going
I
with the
love
same
him.
fixture.
I'm going the same fixture. I was going to take St. Maximin before you took Wilson, to be completely honest,
That's
because I
fair.
think that Wilson's the popular pick, which is typically when everyone gets burned. So I'm going to take a bit of a punt, and I'm going to take ASM. I think he's a personality-wise probably one of my favorite players in the Premier League, honestly.
Fair
Like
enough.
he's brilliant. So we're both looking at that. That being said, there's a lot of other games. You can go for Son, you can go for Kane. Like I said,
Yeah, I thought you were
I
going to
think
take a
Foden's.
Spurs player for sure.
I've used Son before, so I can't.
Okay. I don't think
Um,
I've used either of them
You
yet.
haven't. I still had Kane, but I'm gonna save that for later once he actually starts playing well. I don't want to bank on him to start with that pick. So
Yeah, that's fair.
we'll go from there. But yeah, so we're both targeting that. Bit of a shot at Brentford, honestly, but that's how they've been recently. So we'll roll with it.
Well, let's talk about captaincy, Ben, because obviously we need to have this conversation now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Salah's a good pick against Arsenal at home. Salah at home in any game week is hard to go against.
Give me your top three. You can include Salah. So top two, I guess.
Salah's number one.
Yeah.
2 would be Son,
Yeah.
and 3 would be Kane.
I agree with your 1 and 2, but I'm putting Foden at 3.
Fair.
That's what I think. Those are my 3. Obviously, if you guys are playing along at home, let us know the score, how you're doing. If you're beating us, you probably are. And let us know how bad you're beating us. Know what you think for captaincy. Send us your teams. Honestly, we'd love to discuss it with you and just talk. So feel free to send it in.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, yeah, is that it?
That does it for this game week,
else?
Benjamin. Unless
Yeah,
there's anything else you wanted to talk about.
No. Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to Borderline FPL. We will see how our teams shake up. We'll let you know what transfers we're making. All of that will be found on Twitter. So follow us at Borderline FPL on Twitter. As I say every week, DM us, send us photos, make fun of us, ask us questions about MLS. We can talk about why Lacazette's the GOAT, whatever you want. Really, it's super fun. So tweet us. If you're watching us right now, make sure to drop a like, a comment, and subscribe if you are not already subscribed. And other than that, guys, I think that does it. We will see you after Premier League game week 12. So
good luck this week, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.
Peace.